Hi friends! If you're new to the channel, my name's Jamie. I'm a college English teacher and a PhD candidate by day, and I'm an artist by night. Because we're in the middle of holiday season and rocketing towards Christmas, I wanted to talk about mental health. Specifically, this is a story time about how counseling and antidepressants drastically improved my quality of life as an adult. First, I want to give a little caveat though. Not everyone benefits from counseling, and not everyone benefits from medication for depression or anxiety. But this is a story of how finding the right resources improved my quality of life in terms of my own anxiety and depression. Also, as you listen, you can see my process of designing emotes for my partner's Twitch channel. I drew a template to help me design clean emotes of his two cats named Peach and Daisy. If you have any questions about the design, Procreate, or my process, I'd love to answer questions and talk to you in the comments section. And also, if you'd like me to create a simple tutorial video about designing emotes for Twitch or other sites, please let me know. So, most of us struggle with maintaining mental well-being. I've grappled with anxiety since I was a small child. Beginning at the age of 4 or 5, I'd chew at my nails and pick at my skin. My mom would make me wear gloves, but this was a compulsive act. And anytime I was stressed, my chewing and picking would be worse. I'd accidentally make my hands bleed in times of distress. And I was distressed pretty often. In the 2nd grade, I panicked and cried that I'd never pass the math end of grade test. Spoiler, I passed college algebra with an A 15 years later, but I still struggle with math. So mental health can seem unwieldy to define. There are signs of poor mental health that professionals can look for, and most people will have signs of depression without needing clinical intervention. Sadness is a perfectly appropriate reaction to many life experiences, and stress is natural. In the animal kingdom, stress keeps you alive. Adrenaline makes sure that you outrun your predator. But if your symptoms of anxiety and depression limit your education, social life, or job, you may seek clinical intervention like a therapist, counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist. So as I got older, my anxiety and skin picking only worsened. In middle school, I was plagued with hormonal acne. When I struggled the most with my anxiety and mood swings, I'd sit in front of the mirror and tear at my face. I'd zone out for minutes and hours, my face pulsing. I'd try to stop, holding a hot compress or ice to my face as I surfed on Neopets or played Zoo Tycoon, just trying to distract myself from my feelings. Concealer became part of my daily routine as I attempted to cover my wounds. As my doctors diagnosed me, I was subjected to all sorts of painful tests. I received an electromyogram, which is a test where needles are inserted into major muscle groups. Each time a needle is inserted, you receive an electric shock that measures muscle response. For this test, atrophied muscles respond less. My muscles were damaged because my disease made them freeze up. As far as day-to-day living, I could no longer put my shoes on by myself. I didn't see the bottom of my feet for an entire year. As part of the diagnostic process, I also received a muscle biopsy in my left leg. During all this, I struggled to maintain my grades as I looked toward higher education. I was in marching band, but my body was failing me. My teachers did all they could to support my success, but many folks tore me down. My peers didn't understand what I was going through. At 15 years old, my body was falling apart before my eyes. I had rashes on most of my joints, on my nose, and over my eyelids. I itched relentlessly, and walking was a struggle. I stuck out like a sore thumb. Strangers would ask me about my rashes, wondering if I'd, and I quote, punched a wall. These questions would continue for the next decade, but I went to physical therapy a few days a week. My physical therapist sympathized with me, saying, "It's weird, every time we work with you, it's like your body just undoes all the work instantly. There's not much else we can do." And that's just one point I want to emphasize. With certain illnesses, sometimes exercise isn't going to fix the issue. It will help, sure, but sometimes you need medicinal intervention. For the folks that think that all pills are evil, pills have saved my life. And once I received my diagnosis at the end of my sophomore year, I was prescribed prednisone, a steroid that, in small doses, can treat allergic reactions. In high doses, it can stop an overactive immune system in its tracks. It's like rebooting a computer. I was shutting off my overactive immune system and restarting. I received 80 milligrams of prednisone a day to start with. For the next 2 years, I would wean off the drug. This was a torturous process. Unfortunately, prednisone has many side effects. It can cause cataracts, it eats away at bones, and it can cause steroid psychosis. Some people hallucinate, but for me, I felt like a live wire all the time. I was either furious or sobbing most of the time. Many people report being more emotional even while on low-dose prednisone. I'd have hot flashes where my whole body would sweat, and I would feel this indescribable anger, like a raging bull. I'd see red, ready to take down anyone in my path. I'd say things that felt like they came from a demon trapped inside my body. And if it was after 7 p.m., I was uncontrollably sobbing about everything and nothing. My brain was seizing, but the muscle pain stopped, even though the rashes remained the same. I'd compulsively clean my room, unable to sleep, until 3 a.m. Because that's another side effect of prednisone. You can't sleep. I also regained my flexibility almost instantly. It was like I took a magic pill to fix my body, but destroy my brain. However, my brain eventually took its toll on my body. You see, I was first prescribed prednisone by a rheumatologist in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. As he wrote the prescription and prepared me for taking the medicine, he warned me about potential weight gain. He then said, "Stop eating." It was like gaining weight was worse than my autoimmune disease. That's a horrible way to view weight and health. For some people, prednisone can increase appetite and even cause ravenous hunger. This sentiment from my doctor broke something in my mind. I became obsessed with losing weight. I counted my calories and became afraid of food. I'd never been so self-conscious. The prednisone gave me enough energy to over-exercise, and it also gave me heartburn every time I ate. So I really had no motivation to eat. Further, I never got the ravenous hunger from the prednisone. I became an expert in losing weight in the most unhealthy manner. I soon became underweight, with my mental health hitting rock bottom. Not eating enough also has awful consequences for your mind. I would cry over the thought of drinking a milkshake. I'd inspect my body every time I went to the bathroom. I couldn't stop ruminating over how many calories I'd eaten that day or that week. I was referred to a social worker for my mental health, but my rheumatologist didn't seem to care about my weight loss, my anxiety, or my depression. He just grumbled and lackadaisically told me to see someone. So I did. And the social worker decided that due to the prednisone use, I was mentally ill. However, she decided that I didn't need help since it was, quote, just the prednisone. This is my unprofessional opinion, but if you're suffering, you deserve help. Whether it's due to your medicine or not, you need help. The social worker just felt like talking to someone wasn't the answer. By my sophomore year in college, my friends supported me in recovering from my compulsive undereating, but I still struggled with anxiety and depression. I woke up at 6 a.m. most days, scared for the day ahead, and I stayed awake until 2 a.m., working to get an A. I laid in bed, mulling over worst-case scenarios. I graduated undergrad with a 4.0, even though my professors told me I needed to learn how to get a B. I obsessed over my grades and hurt many people along the way. My depression and anxiety made me into someone I wasn't proud of. I was an emotional whirlwind, unable to organize my priorities beyond my grades. But when I started my master's degree, I did something that changed my life. I went to the campus counseling center and I talked to someone. I worked with a counselor for 2 years before we decided to add medication to my mental wellness plan. And luckily for me, when I started taking Cymbalta to manage my swings between anxiety and depression, I didn't experience any side effects aside from my head feeling numb for the first week. My thoughts felt like they traveled through a thick layer of molasses. But that eventually dissipated, and I could relax for what felt like the first time in my life. I could sift through thoughts that no longer served me, and I could be intentional with my choices. Taking medication for my mental health made me manage my chronic illness more effectively. You see, in times of high stress or depression, I just stopped taking medication for my disease. But with my Cymbalta, I took better care of myself overall. Sure, I could no longer work myself to the bone or wake up at 6 a.m., but it was worth some peace of mind. Medication easily has saved my life over the years as I've progressed through my master's degree and my doctoral program. Now I'm defending my dissertation in February, and I can manage my stress so much better. Yes, I still pick at my skin, but I've gotten so much better at managing my emotions and breaking myself out of skin-picking trances. And my self-esteem is much higher now. I'm much more forgiving of my body and its quirks. And medication helped me gain the patience to work with Pfizer on acquiring an experimental drug to help with my autoimmune disease. Today, instead of prednisone, I take Xeljanz daily to manage my autoimmune disease. It's helped drastically with my rashes and my skin health overall. Also, it's helping my muscles and disease activity generally. So life is tough, and many institutions do not serve us. Academia and many other fields are rife with workplace bullying and negative reinforcement, and those institutions need to change. But we still deserve to help ourselves while we're trying to dismantle toxic institutions in our society. The friends I've made and the person I've become with the help of medical intervention, antidepressants, leave me so much more prepared to tackle these obstacles. I've been so lucky in my experience with medication for anxiety and depression, and I hope that this video helps anyone who is afraid of taking medication for mental health. The combination of counseling and medication was right for me, and if you have any questions about any of the experiences I've discussed in this video, I'm happy to chat about it in the comments. If you liked this video and want to support the channel, consider liking the video and subscribing. I post every Friday, but if you'd like notifications for when I post, click the bell icon. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourself during the holiday season. It's getting cold and dark out there, but even in this winter weather, you're here and you deserve joy. I hope you find places and people who bring out your best. Bye, friends.